Hello, America. Welcome back to TV's Dave Galvan. This is Travel Secrets with TV's Dave Galvan. I am your host, TV's Dave Galvan. This is the only podcast that I know of that talks about travel in 10 minutes or less. Today, we're going to talk about our recent trip to Las Vegas and how we stayed at the Holiday Inn Club Vacation, Desert Inn Club Resort. So let's talk a little bit about it. So I stayed at the Holiday Inn Club Vacations at Desert Club Resort in Las Vegas just a week ago at the end of January, the last week of January of 2026. Despite everything I'm about to tell you, I'm going to totally recommend this place. But you need to know what you're getting into. This isn't the Bellagio. It isn't even a Holiday Inn Express. There's something else completely entirely, but that's not a bad thing. Let me start with saying the coolest thing about this place was our view of the Sphere. Our room looked directly on the Sphere, not kind of on the Sphere, not if you leaned out the window and kind of stuck your head out. I mean, we're talking directly at the Sphere. If you've ever seen this thing in person, let me tell you, it's mesmerizing. 366-foot tall LED orb that broadcasts everything from giant eyeballs to cosmic animations. It's amazing. And watching it from your private deck with a glass of wine is something that you will probably think is the coolest thing you've experienced in Las Vegas. There's no casino noise. There's no crowds. It's just you and this futuristic Marvel-looking thing. So the location was legitimately fantastic. You're centrally located behind the Sphere, and that means you're close to everything without being actually on the Strip. You get the convenience without the chaos. You want to see a show at the Sphere? You're a 5-minute walk away. You need to hit the Strip? You're close enough that an Uber is not going to cost you an arm and a leg. Want to avoid tourist madness? Look, just stay at this resort and enjoy the quiet. This actually was the best place I've ever personally stayed in Las Vegas. So there's a resort identity crisis, and here's where things get interesting. The Holiday Inn Club Vacations at Desert Club Resort, that's a mouthful. They call themselves a resort. That's a very big word with big expectations. So let's talk about what makes a resort a resort. A resort typically has room service. This place doesn't. A resort usually has some kind of spa. This place doesn't. Most resorts have a casino or at least some type of entertainment venue. This place doesn't. So what exactly are we calling a resort here? Is it a resort just because it has 4 pools? So what exactly are we calling a resort here? The property is beautiful. The rooms are spacious. It's like having a condo. But calling this place a resort feels like calling a really nice apartment complex with amenities a luxury estate. It's kind of stretching the definition for me, and you should know that going in. What you're really booking is basically a timeshare. This place is a timeshare. They do allow cash reservations, and that's fine. Actually, it's more than fine. It's a great deal if you set your expectations correctly. But if you show up expecting resort-level service and amenities, you will be disappointed. Let's kind of talk about the check-in, because this was the big thing that really annoyed me. What should take 7 minutes took 20. Why? Because they make you play a little game. So you check in at one desk like you would at any other place. You hand them your credit card. They charge the deposit. You get your keys, which are wristbands, which are kind of cool. But then you've got to go to a second desk to activate your keys. Seriously, they physically make you walk across the lobby to a different counter just to activate the little wristband that's going to open your door. It's not a technical requirement. It's not security protocol. It's a timeshare sales funnel disguised as check-in progress. The second desk is where they're going to pitch you on attending a timeshare presentation. They're polite about it. They're not pushy, but they're strategic. And by the time you've stood in line, you've filled out all the paperwork, and you've walked to the second station, you're tired. You just want to go to your room, and that's when they ask if you'd like to hear about exclusive ownership opportunities. Look, they were cool about it, but 20 minutes to check into a hotel room, that's way excessive. That's the price you pay for booking this property. You're trading time for money, and you need to decide if that trade-off works for you. Pro tip, if you're in a hurry, just politely and firmly decline the presentation at all costs. They'll still try to, they'll still give you your keys, but hopefully it'll speed things up. The second thing I didn't care for is, we're going to talk about cleanliness. The room was clean, But there was some glaring issues that told me housekeeping either doesn't have the time or doesn't have the directive to handle certain things, specifically the dust. There were dusts on light fixtures, dust on top of the TV, dust on the mirrors, dust on the paintings. Not like we haven't cleaned in 6 months, but noticeably when you run your fingers on top of it, dust goes everywhere. It's the kind that tells you they're doing surface level cleaning but not real detail work. This place is supposed to be a resort. They need to wipe down everything. So I get that housekeeping staff are probably overworked and underpaid everywhere, but I'm paying resort prices, even discounted timeshare resort prices. I expect more than a quick vacuum and a towel swap. Speaking of which, they don't service your room daily. This isn't a traditional hotel where housekeeping shows up every morning to refresh your space. You have to call them if you need towels or toiletries or trash removal. They show up when you request it, but there's no automatic daily service. This might be fine for some people, but if you're staying for a week and you don't want someone in your space every day, that actually might be ideal. But if you're expecting fresh towels and a made bed every morning, you need to adjust those expectations. So let's rapid fire through some of the maintenance issues because there were several. Dead batteries in the remote. Seriously, the minute we walked in the room, the TV remote did not work. Dead batteries, not dying batteries, they were completely dead. This is such an easy fix that I was surprised it wasn't handled before we even showed up. It tells me that there's a gap in pre-arrival room checks. There was a fried power outlet on the kitchen counter. There was this outlet that looked like someone plugged in something that the outlet couldn't take. The bottom outlet was a bit melted. The top one worked just fine. I didn't plug anything in the bottom one because I didn't trust it. But it was just sitting there like a decorative reminder that electrical fires are real. The next thing are the ghost doors. The doors in our room are not balanced. They opened and closed by themselves. So you open the door, you go in, and the door kind of just shuts itself. And you're like, wait, am I supposed to be locked in here? What's going on? Some of the doors would actually open themselves. They weren't balanced at all. It's just weird and it's mildly annoying. They really should put some time in balancing those doors. Then there's the pull-out couch incident. This one deserves its own speech. I was putting away the pull-out couch because my son James was sleeping on it. You know, I'm being responsible and I'm trying to make more space in the living room. Something broke off of it. Like a piece just came off, like a screw. The mechanism just sort of snapped on its own. I just happened to be the person who triggered the final collapse of this thing. Now, I did call up maintenance and a handyman showed up an hour later to fix it. And he showed up with a jar of screws and he fixed the whole thing. He was professional, he was apologetic, and he had it working again in 20 minutes. So while the property does have some maintenance issues, they are very responsive when things go wrong, and that does count for something. One of the things that did annoy me the most was there were no elevators in any of the buildings. None. Zero. If your room is on the 3rd floor, then you're carrying your luggage up 3 flights of stairs. If you packed heavy, you're going to feel it. If you have mobility issues, you might want to consider not staying at this property. You know, I'm in okay shape. It still sucks. My suitcase was heavy, but by the time you reach the 3rd floor, you're kind of considering your packing choices. The resort has multiple buildings, and I didn't see an elevator on any of them. This is a major accessibility issue. If you're traveling with elderly family members, maybe with bad knees or hips, or even young children or anyone who struggles with stairs, you might want to find another property. It's not really worth the hassle. Okay, so the things that worked. Here's what I liked. The pools, there are 4 of them. They're cleaned. They're well maintained. They're surprisingly quiet even during peak season. It was very quiet. This property seems to attract an older clientele. The rooms are legitimately spacious. Our room had a full kitchen, separate living areas, and they had actual walk-in closets. They also had a washer and dryer, which was great because I didn't have to go home with dirty clothes. And the service was very good. Despite the check-in shenanigans and the maintenance quirks, the staff was very friendly and helpful. Now, you absolutely are going to need a rental car. This isn't optional. The resort is just slightly off-strip. There's no free shuttle service. The property does have parking, which is great, but don't show up thinking you're going to be able to walk everywhere. This is TV's Dave Galvan reminding you, please like and follow for more luxury reviews. We'll see you next week.